compassion on this world. Christ has no body now on earth like yours.
Every Catholic high school in Ontario has a chaplain, and once a year they gather together, not just to learn new things, but also to refresh and to reconnect.
I'm listening to these ideas that these chaplains are saying up there, and I'm like, wow, how come I never thought of that, in all of these years? And so, to trust yourself and but also to get lots of support. I had good mentors along the way. So to find the support within that school or outside of the school and make sure that you stay close to that and then be courageous and try things. I've tried many things that have failed, like nobody showed up and I was like, oh. But then like a few years, like down the road then it starts to work, but sometimes it was because maybe I had too much of a hand in it and I needed to really hear what was the real need. And that's important too, to kind of admit that, yeah, that didn't work, let's try something different.
Even before this, I worked as a youth minister in a parish after my Master's of Divinity, and I found that I was constantly trying to get students to the parish. So, on one day I said to myself, it makes more sense to go to where they're at.
The theme of the 2019 conference is Compassionate Discipleship, and it was hosted by the Toronto Catholic District School Board.
Chaplaincy is the ministry of presence, and just be there. People are always like, oh, what do you say, what do you do? And it's like, the saying like, don't just stand there, do something. For chaplains, don't just do something, stand there, just be there. If someone walks into a room holding a cookie, you wonder, I wonder where she got that cookie from, right? And if someone walks into a room joy-filled with love, and I wonder where that person got all that joy, where did that person get all that love, Do your best, God does the rest.
Students don't get enough interaction with ordained ministers because they're not always going to church. They're not building those relationships with their ordained ministers that I think some of them used to. So being a lay person in the school system who values faith, they immediately have a person to talk to about faith issues. But just to see as a role model, and just like we've seen at this conference today, they mentioned that we are the Jesus for these students in the schools. So I think it calls us to bring that in a very real way into our schools, and whether that means just by our compassionate nature in the school, just by trying to be authentic, the students learn a little bit more about who Jesus was.
It's getting clearer that we're transitioning, well, it's kind of happened already, from a Christian society to a more secular society, and loving God isn't cool, really. They don't see it. What you see is the opposite. You have media and whatnot telling you that, hey, you'll be beautiful if you look like this, or you'll be successful if this, and that message is the exact opposite of God. There's no conditions. It's just, you're my beloved, right? And getting that message to people who only hear the opposite of that, it's challenging, but you plant the seeds and they grow.
The main advice is be ready to be continually surprised, be incredibly patient, be a good listener, and be bold in terms of letting people know God's love for them. And with students in particular, any way that you can somehow let them know that the gospel is something that's joyfully lived.
So I'm going to say, put the people first, put God first, put people first, and then worry about whatever you're doing later.
Every week gives me new hope in terms of faith and our world.
Having a publicly funded Catholic school system in Ontario is a gift that we should not take for granted. Let's keep these chaplains in our prayers that they will continue serving our school communities as compassionate disciples.